The following podcast is an Embassy Row production.
It is another episode of the Shaken and Stirred show. It never gets boring. We just met a new producer called Karis, who I think we probably should have on as a guest, Tom, don't you think?
We should have on as a guest, and Karis is the only person he knows is called Karis, which we need more of, Nigel, as you know, because as we know, your name, for instance, is dying.
Actually, it's not dying. There are a lot of dogs being named Nigel Barker all around the world. In fact, I've come across several Pomeranians, Chihuahuas, and even the odd poodle mix. I don't know what they call them, spoodles, but they are all called Nigel Barker. And I'm very happy to know that my name is actually living on in the canine, breeds. So
yes, canines, small canines.
You know, as I am a Barker, it makes perfect sense. Okay. So here we are, guys, shaken and stirred once again. Tommy boy, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking this is a drink, right, that you can make at home, and you can make it as lavish or as simple as you want. It is basically, and this isn't me being lazy, this is actually delicious. It's pomegranate.
Shut up. It's not.
Vodka and tonic. Which cocktail? It is actually a cocktail.
Basically, a vodka tonic with colour.
It's a vodka tonic with a flavouring of pomegranate, which one can add champagne to.
Okay.
It is delicious. So, therefore, if you're sitting at home and you can have a vodka tonic, if you want to make it more exciting, go put some pomegranate on it. If you want to really kick, give it a kick, you add a dash of champagne.
So for all of you out there, pomegranate, right? So you can buy that pommy thing, that drink that is rather syrupy and strong, which is you can buy it in most supermarkets. But pomegranate is also grenadine. So grenadine is pomegranate, right? So if you get grenadine cordial, you can just use that, and you can use a smaller amount, because if you use the pomegranate juice, you have to use more to get the correct kind of flavor. At least that's been my experience.
You use syrup.
Yes, absolutely. Simple syrup. Absolutely. So listen, it's so strange, okay? And everyone out there, I know you probably don't believe us, but Tom and I, and I've said this before on the show, we never talk about what we're drinking before we see each other on the show. When we do the podcast, we never talk about it. So as luck would have it, and I'm literally going to just produce it so everyone, and I'm going to talk about it, I am drinking a pomegranate and gin. It's kind of like a gin fizz, but it's with pomegranate. It's actually called the Clover Club. And it's kind of interesting. It can be traced back to the late 1800s and comes from Philadelphia. It's probably the number one Philadelphian cocktail ever made, actually. It was very, very popular sort of pre-Prohibition, and then kind of got erased after the fact. And it came back in the 2000s. And there's actually a bar called the Clover Club in Brooklyn, which has obviously this drink on the menu, and it's now back in full force, and it is super easy to make. It's actually got egg white in it. I did a dry shake. Tom, you talked about a dry shake the other day. So you put an egg white, half an ounce, which is like half a jigger of lemon juice, freshly squeezed, half a jigger of pomegranate cordial, and 2 jiggers of gin. And I use London Dry, which goes very well with this. And you shake it dry, which means no ice, for about 30 seconds, which builds up this nice white froth, as you see on the top of my drink. And then you put ice in it and shake it for another 10 and pour it out into a coupe. Hey, mate, cheers. Tommy, old boy.
To pomegranate.
To pomegranate. To both of us drinking pomegranate drinks without even knowing.
Weird. That's so weird. Well, it's not the first time it's happened. It's not the last.
You know, obviously we're channeling one another, old boy. Booze news. There's lots and lots of happening in the world of booze news. So, first of all, as we all know, the pandemic has caused real problems in the industry. Everywhere, closures. In the UK alone, actually, £600 million pounds, I think, of reduced income in the UK, and something like $1.2 billion in the US, as far as how much more needs to be drunk. So people have come up with a solution. I need to spit this out. If Brits drink an extra 124 pints of beer each this year, We can solve the problem in the drinking, in the booze industry in the UK. Now, it's actually equates to 218 pints in the US, because for some reason in the US it's been even worse. But I know 124 pints sounds like a lot, but it's actually only like half a pint a day. So if you're a beer lover, just drink an extra half pint a day, or just drink a half pint, and we're going to actually solve our problem in the booze industry and bring back all those restaurants and bars and pubs and all the rest of it that have suffered so much from, obviously the pandemic. So we can do this, people. Let's get together. And one more piece of booze news, quite interesting. Vodka made in Chernobyl. Have you heard of this, Tom?
No.
So they're making vodka in Chernobyl to help bring back the economy over there. Guess what it's called? Atomic vodka. So you can pick yourself up a bottle of atomic vodka and help the Chernobyl rebuild. Ironically, the first 1,500 bottles were being shipped out, and they got stuck in customs in the Ukraine, having not paid their tax stamps. So I'm afraid the rebuild in Chernobyl is going to have to wait until they sort out their taxes. But they don't get cut any breaks over there in Chernobyl, clearly. So on that note.
I mean, does it come with a glow? I mean, what does it do?
Does it come with a glow? That's a good point. Is it radioactive? Apparently not. Apparently the radioactivity is I think the thing is, who believes it, right? Would you drink something out of sort of Chernobyl with a huge nuclear disaster? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. Listen, a very interesting thing happened today. I was on my farm, and I was looking around in a gallery that I use, the thing that I use, and I bought about 10, 12 years ago this hotel. I needed a lot of furniture for a hotel that I was building in Morocco, and I heard about this hotel that was being sold in Knightsbridge, one of these big, smart, fancy hotels, and it's behind Harrods. And I went and met the manager, and I said, "What's the deal?" And she said, "Well, we're getting rid of everything. We're closing down. Someone's bought the building, and they're going to turn to a massive house, and we want to get rid of everything, and we're just trying to literally liquidate and get rid. We're not that interested in how much everything's cost." So I did a deal with them and bought the entire contents of this hotel: beds, side tables, curtains, chairs, everything. And it was a big-ish hotel, in order to then ship it all out to Morocco. The shipping it out to Morocco didn't happen in the end, but I was left with the contents of this hotel, including televisions. I mean, I had sort of 45 flat screen plasma TVs and an entire industrial kitchen, which I installed in here in my wedding venue. Anyway, as I was talking to the woman, the story came out. I said, "Something's familiar about this place. I don't know what it is." It was the hotel that. Do you remember a guy called Litvinenko?
Of course.
Right, who was poisoned, polonium-210. He was sort of stabbed with an umbrella on Waterloo Bridge in London by some Russian agent. Basically killed by one of the Russian government's agents. And he'd been staying in this hotel when this thing happened. And I said, "Well, hang on a minute, I mean, we had the old, has it been?" She said, "Well, yeah, it's interesting because after it all transpired, these people arrived in hazmat suits and Geiger counters and went through the whole, wherever he'd been in London. They went anyway. They checked this hotel and they said they found radioactive, whatever it is, dust or whatever, on the curtains in his bedroom where he'd opened his curtains."
So that's all he was doing with his curtains.
And a sofa in the drawing room of the hotel that he sat on. They checked the whole place. There wasn't anything else. And I was like looking at it, thinking, "Are you sure about this? Because I'm about to ship all this stuff back to my farm, and has it been really checked? Anyway, so it's quite funny that I was having this conversation with someone today, and then you should mention this. So synchronicity is clearly at work.
Clearly at work. And Tom, I'm looking at your hair. I remember, in fact, that your hair never used to be that colour or look that way until you bought this hotel. It's clearly radioactive. Talk on the subject of radioactive. We have an atomic guest coming up today. Kelsey.
Hi there.
Okay, look, I just gave away our guest. I completely blown this, everyone out there. I normally do the big lead in. I got all excited. Kelsey's holding a really giant microphone, by the way, looking really pro. When, we just sort of spit at our computer. She's obviously done this before. She's got several podcasts. Look, guys, she's a comedian. She's a mental health advocate. She's a filmmaker. She's the author of Can I say fucking panic? Please welcome Kelsey Darragh. Kelsey.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Really, it's really fun to have you with us too. Tom Astor, my great friend, my co-host, he's in the UK right now. Kelsey, you're in Los Angeles, right?
I am based in Los Angeles. I'm currently in the Catskills right now.
What do you mean you're in the Catskills? Where
I'm in West Catskills. My friend had a baby 7 days ago. I had to be here to help it come into this world, and I'm going back to LA soon.
What do you mean West Catskills? It's not like Los Angeles or California where you go, the Catskills, West Catskills.
I actually have no clue. I know New York City, and that's it.
That's what I knew. I knew you did not know, right? Because it's like people say West Hollywood, or they divide it up, East, West. I live in the Catskills.
You do?
Right now, right here, where I'm looking at the Catskills, I'm in Woodstock, just outside. That's what I'm saying.
We are 5 minutes from Woodstock. That I know.
That's what I mean. Because if you're 5 minutes from Woodstock, I'm 5 minutes from Woodstock. So
wait, hold on. Oh my God. This is an audio podcast, but I have a Woodstock tattoo.
So wait a second. Now I've got her foot in the. You know what? It is an audio podcast, but guess what, guys? As of this week, we have a YouTube channel and we're going live. So Tom, I'm glad you got a shirt on because usually he's naked. But
I'm so sad you have a shirt on.
Now we have feet in the podcast. He has a shirt on. Don't worry, he'll take it off later. And you have a Woodstock tattoo already.
I have a Woodstock tattoo. I am 5 minutes from Woodstock and you. I think we're close to Glens Bay.
Okay, no, you lost me now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just know we're in the
woods.
woods.
That's the name of a bar or a road.
Tom's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I am in the Great Britain of UK or whatever it's called now. What do you call it now?
Well, at the moment, the United Kingdom, but it's not as quite might not be that united for long because I think Scotland have got ideas to peel off. Oh. Anyway, that doesn't work. Yeah, I'm in England. I
was just trying to include you.
England.
Yeah, but I know I've been to Nigel's place before many times actually up in Woodstock. So I'm as keen as he is to know where you are because geographically I could probably recognize it as well. But as you don't know where you are.
I don't know where I am, and I'm sober. Like, what? How does this happen?
This is the problem. This is why we have a cocktail podcast, and we only invite sober guests on who don't know what they're talking about. And Kelsey would be the perfect guest. So, Kelsey, what are you drinking, my love?
All right, I got a lemonade on ice because, as you know, it is hot as hell up here in the Catskills. I've got lemon sugar rim, and then I don't know if you've ever heard of Seed Lip. It's a distilled non-alcoholic spirit, which it's super tasty and super aromatic. And so I've got a little bit of what flavor is this?
Lemon.
Citrus.
Lemon.
Citrus, more lemony lemonade with lemon sugar with a lemon topper because it's so hot here.
Look at that. Fantastic.
There we go.
That's great. Actually,
cheers.
It sounds like you could just do with a bit of vodka. Cheers. Cheers. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Why is y'all so fancy?
Well, we're a fancy show. This is where we make fancy cocktails. In fact, we both went pomegranate today for some odd reason. And Kelsey, we do not discuss our cocktails in advance. We don't. We didn't know. We did not know.
That's just the friendship.
It's just literally. It was an homage to my ginger friend. I thought I would make it.
You're looking very blonde from over here. Very high, like summery highlights right now.
Thank you. Do you know something? I'm so cross that it's so hot there because if I could turn my microphone up, all you would hear is a howling 60-mile-an-hour wind and a serious storm coming through.
How romantic.
Which is quite, I was about to say, it's quite romantic. It is. You can hear it in the eaves. I can hear it coming through. So, but at the same time, just to hear that you're all basking in the summer sunshine is something that I'm completely. Yeah, I haven't seen yet.
I love that. The wind. You can hear it in the eaves. You heard that in the eaves. It's EAVES. That's the top of the building. That's where he's using words, people, that that he's like out of an old English book. I think he's flirting. Actually, is what's happening now. All of
I was going to say.
All of a sudden, trying to be all sort of Shakespearean and stuff.
Listen, it's so hot here. I don't want anyone to touch me. I will gladly come over to your romantic, windy, pomegranate-filled, book-lined city. Come on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, let's just move on, please. I don't even know what's happening in this conversation. She's not even damn well drinking. She's got a huge microphone and lemonade, and I don't know, it's all got sugar all over the top of it. Everything else, she's having like a sugar rush or something, I think is what's going on. Let's get into you. I want to get into where your entertainment, the sort of becoming a comedian and all of that kind of aspect of who you are. A lot of people want to get into entertainment. A lot of people want to become a comedian. How does that start? Where did that moment for you come from?
Let's see, be the youngest child of very neglectful parents, and always just need attention and a space to be loud in. And I was raised in Florida, which nothing normal happens in Florida, right? I had no idea my upbringing was so abnormal until I left. And like I said, just pure attention whore. My parents put me into theater and ballet classes and things like that, but that just wasn't enough to, fill the hole clearly that my, father and mother left or something like that I needed to get from other people. So I started actually in New York, way too cold. I couldn't handle the snow. So that's when I moved out to Los Angeles. And I actually started in Los Angeles at the very beginnings of YouTube. I don't know if you guys remember where you were when YouTube started, but it was a pretty big deal for us internet kids. I just thought, oh, hell, I don't need a manager or an agent to do any of this. I can just be my own boss. And for the past 11 years, that's kind of what I've been doing. I worked at BuzzFeed, which is kind of a cheat code to getting a big following. You kind of get thrust into millions of people's eyeballs. But from there, I've kind of taken it a step further with, writing the book. I'm actually working on my second one. I just absolutely love the audience and social media that I've built. I'm a huge TikTok fan. Are you guys on TikTok yet?
I'm on TikTok. Oh,
I
yeah.
thought I saw you on there once or twice. The people were freaking out.
I'm on TikTok, people. I'm having makeovers. My 12-year-old daughter got me on there. You'll see me with hair, then without hair. You'll see me in full drag. I go for it. I'm like, you know what? It's the craziest thing in the world. I would never have done that on Instagram or on Facebook or anything else I've ever been on. And for some odd reason, literally, I launch into TikTok and have a full hair makeover.
Yeah, it's a weird place.
What is going on that place?
You guys know how it is on Instagram, where you have to always constantly be posting bikini pictures and showing off your butt. You guys know how it is. Yeah.
I love getting in a bikini, actually. In fact, I'm running a lingerie model search right now on Instagram. So there you go, people.
And I can't live up to those expectations all the time. And TikTok is just a weird place to dump your weirdness.
FYI, I looked at you on Instagram just a moment ago, and you've got lots of bikini shots right there. So they're right up there. You're half naked in most of your pictures, in fact.
Listen, I know where my audience lies on the Instagram. I got to do what I got to do.
Searching you right now on TikTok. I can see his face. It's that weird porno face that he pulled.
He's just like, let me make sure for research purposes that's true.
Turn that frown upside down, Tom. Stop frowning when you're staring at her pictures.
No, sorry. I was just, when people start talking about Instagram, I start getting confused because I'm not a big social. I don't do social. But what I did do the other day was Nigel was like, why don't you like our video? You should like our podcast. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean like? He's like, what do you need to like? You need your own Instagram account. So anyway, I opened that evening. I got my girlfriend to open me an Instagram account, right? And it was called, for everyone listening out there, tomaster.real, right? Just to make it different from the German country and western singer that exists. Anyway, so I opened this thing. I followed. I have one follower, okay?
Oh.
Shaken and Stirred show, right? I have one follower. But here's the weird thing. This is what I don't get. This is seriously what I don't get. I have not posted anything, okay? Yet, I seem to have, if I read it correctly, 26 followers.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
For doing nothing.
Welcome to Hollywood, baby.
You've done way more than nothing, old boy.
So will you someone try and explain why 26 people would want to follow something that doesn't?
Because the followers on Instagram see that people have looked to see who's liked it, and then they're like, "Oh my god, it's Tom Astor, the snapper from Shaken and Stirred. I want to follow him personally."
Exactly.
Follow.
By the way, I'm not
about
one
to
of
follow
them.
you.
I'm not one of your followers. I will follow you now. I had no idea. For God's sakes, the guy lives under a rock. You think I have to put up with him at least once a week? What's he going to take pictures of? I mean, what am I following him for? I mean, other than to perhaps tag him in a post, that's only going to drive him nuts. Is he going to have followers? I hate people with accounts which have millions of followers without any pictures. It's like, okay, God, I get it. You're famous.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeez, rub it in our faces. I got to show my butt to get those followers. You don't have to do anything.
Trust me, I've had to show my butt a few times too. I don't have as many followers as you, so I'm kind of a little depressed, but there you go.
I'll help you out.
Yeah, please do. We're going to need it. So, okay, you grew up in a funny sort of, I guess, a difficult situation, a hard childhood. I get this is not an unfamiliar story that you kind of get with a lot of comedians.
Yeah, we're broken.
Yeah, this is the funny thing, right? So this whole, I say it's funny, but not funny. But there's this aspect of the sort of tears of a clown kind of concept.
Yes.
That song that I loved, growing up, and forget who sings it. Is it Dinah Ross or is it the Four Tops or that song I'm talking about? Tears of a Clown. But you got to check it out. It's a fabulous Motown classic, right?
Okay.
Called Tears of a Clown. And it's all about, you see me singing, you see me having a great time, you see me smiling, laughing, telling jokes. I'm actually inside broken and sad. And I'm only laughing because I'm covering my tears, right?
Sounds like my diary, yeah.
So you are a mental health advocate, right? So this is a big part of who you are. And I thought that's why I was thinking about it. And we've had a few other comedians on. We had a Leah Lamar on recently that you may know, Leah. Yeah. She's another young LA comedian on Clubhouse like you are. Yes. But for you, is that part of your, the sort of difficulties and your struggles? Is that what also kind of led to your wanting to be a comedian specifically?
Of course. I think the best medicine besides Xanax is laughter. If I'm in a place of depression, I don't want to continue that tropey, like dark artist, isolated, alone, tortured. Like I don't want to live that life or live in that case. If I'm constantly just in that place that so many people can relate to that you have to kind of claw your way out of. So for me, comedy has always been the answer to everything, like a breakup, school, any hard, stressful time. I would always turn to, cartoons when I was a kid and SNL when I got older and Comedy Central. And now there's so many different platforms where you can get comedy, whether it be YouTube or TikTok. It was always just a natural part of my life. And for me, I could do stand-up and pretend to be, what you see on Instagram, but it's not authentic and no one connects with it. So what worked was when I actually talked about my deepest, darkest shit and I started to talk about it in a funny, relatable way. And that's why I wanted to write Don't Effing Panic, or Fucking Panic if I can cuss, is because
you can't, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm screwed.
Stop fucking cursing, okay? It's really annoying.
I can't. God damn it.
Fucking get on with it.
Fucking hell. You guys, your cuss words are so much cooler over there, by the way.
It's just the way we say them. That's it.
Yeah. So, comedy is the cure to life to me. And so if I could find a way to merge the two pieces of my life that I think the most about, the darkest thing and the lightest thing, then I've found a little bit easier way to crawl out of that hole. And that's what I've been doing. And I always call myself kind of an accidental advocate. This was never what I planned on doing. It was not my goal in life to do this. I wanted to do stand-up. I wanted to do SNL. I wanted to write. But as these other platforms opened up and showed a new way in, I was like, oh my God, this is so much easier, number one. And number two, it's a better connective tissue with the world. And God damn it, isn't that just what life is all about at the end of the day, is connecting with people?
No, 100%. And I think that, this whole concept of sort of being an advocate too, in a way, clearly you are an advocate, but in many respects, so many people are advocates in general. And it's just, what does an advocate mean? Does it mean that one goes out and talks about it? Does it mean that you admit it? Does it mean that, or you're really physically making a difference? there's also this aspect of, I feel like, and it's quite an American thing. And I've been in America for 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm an American citizen, so this isn't just me bashing on a US thing. But I feel that there's a sort of a need in the US to sort of claim that you are an advocate. That they come out and it's almost like a badge of honor or something, which. And it's interesting because I suffer from panic attacks and all this stuff that you have. So let's get into it. But I mean, I feel like I talk about it once in a while, but it's not something where, is that advocating for it or for treatment or whatever. But I mean, and if it is, great. But do I need to say I'm an advocate? I guess is my point.
No, you're doing it without, like, it kind of makes you cooler that you're just doing it without talking about it. But just even breaking the stigma of men aren't supposed to talk about their feelings. Men aren't supposed to talk about mental health. You're not supposed to talk about your emotions. You're sure not supposed to talk about your struggles. Even just doing that alone is a form of revolution and is breaking barriers for other people, whether you like it or not. So I completely understand what you're saying about the advocacy thing, because it's kind of like, the culture of wokeism right now. And if you're not saying something, that's saying something. And the thing that I will say that's, easy or relatable about mental health that may not come with these other subjects is that everyone has mental health. Every single person, the Queen, Beyonce, you, me, everyone here in this room has mental health. And if that's something we can talk about together, it becomes less scary to talk about, as opposed to some of these subjects that maybe people feel like uneducated or uninformed about.
Right. Well, I mean, it's one of those subjects where, you because it's in your head, you're not sure whether you could, if you brought it up, whether you're going to be laughed at, right, or whether people are not going to understand, or whether it's just you that's going through it, right? So it's all those sorts of things, clearly, so people feel that it is an uncomfortable thing to talk about in many ways. Yet, obviously, when you hear someone else talking about it and they're going through it and they're mentioning certain aspects of perhaps the process of what you feel like when you go through a panic attack, and you're like, God, someone else is doing that too. I'm not alone, right? There's that part of it. Now, listen, before we get out any further, your book. Let's talk it. I just want to mention the title because we've sort of said it a few times, but not the whole thing. It's called "Don't Fucking Panic," but with the "you" gone with an asterisk because you're sort of polite, right?
Yes.
And then it's like, then I guess the subtitle is "The Shit They Don't Tell You in Therapy About Anxiety Disorders, Panic Attacks, and Depression," specifically, right?
Yes.
So, by the way, the specifically bit's not part of the title. That's just I added that.
No, I liked it though. It was nice.
We should add it maybe.
I'll cut you a little check.
Have a look at that. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm good at that, by the way. And anyway, talk to us about this book. Right? It's a workbook.
Mm-hmm.
A workbook. What does that mean exactly? What does that mean?
I don't think I'm interesting enough to write a memoir a way a lot of these like digital star influencer people do. I mean, I sure have lived one hell of a life. I've been all over the world. I've drinked it, put it in my mouth. I've had a lot of fun. I just don't think that's helpful to anyone to read about. So for me, when I was writing this book, the whole idea came from when I struggled the most. I've been to inpatient residential rehab. I've been to outpatient. I've been to therapy. All of the things and the tools that they gave me were so clinical and medicinal and like clean sounding that I couldn't relate to any of it. I was like, what's a hippocampus? I don't know and I don't care. I dropped out of 3 colleges. So for me, it was really important to write from the perspective of someone who has gone through it. I wanted it to be really real, really grounded, but most importantly, tangible, to be something that they carried with them and could pull out as much as they needed at any moment. You carry it on the plane, the subway, give it to a friend during a breakup, morning, noon, night. I wanted it to be something that was sort of like a toolkit. And you mentioned that it's, covers 3 subjects specifically. And we find that those disorders often coexist with each other. So I broke it up into 3 sections: anxiety disorder, panic attacks, and depression. And every single page is a completely different exercise or tip or trick, from stuff that is made up by actual therapists that have worked since the beginning of time to shit I have completely made up. Like there's one page that's a color by numbers that turns out to be a picture of Ryan Gosling holding a bunny, because I just think that shit is soothing and calming in a moment of like terror when I don't know what to use my hands with. And like, it's just filled with something on every page that's intended
When
to
you
help.
say a bunny, is that the vibrator you're talking about? The bunny?
I'll let you decide when you see the photo. No,
Okay.
just funny.
It's called a rabbit.
That's a good idea, though.
Because that would be funny. Anyway.
It's called
Tom
a
is
rabbit.
right. It's called a rabbit.
Oh, sorry.
Right, catch up. Jesus.
I haven't got the 2.0. I've got the
lingo
the
down.
bunny 4.0. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
the original.
Can I just say something? Because in the context of what you're saying right now, and it goes back to what you talked about before, and panic attacks and all that. There's a really simple, I think there's a really simple solution to actually focus everybody's minds on the fact that you know, what's quite interesting is when you said, you know, everybody has mental health. Yes, actually, I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay, everyone does have mental health. What state of health it is, it depends on the individual and what they, you know, but everyone has a state of mental health, right? So the one thing that I've found, the people I've spoken to who are in the therapy section, and I've been taught, and I've rung them about something to do with a child or something, and I'm asking the question, you know, they'll talk about something, and then what they'll always do, and it's the one thing I don't really want. It's the question that I'm like, I want to battle away immediately, and I don't want to. The one thing that we could all do to each other when we see is literally say, "How are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? So right now, how are you feeling?" Instead of, you know, that English thing of "Hello, how are you? I'm fine." Hey, you know, figure of speech. Actually, why not in school? Literally, instead of doing, it's not a kind of group therapy thing. Why not just sit there and go, right? Is everybody? I want everyone to, you know, before we start this class, everyone just sit there and think about how you feel. How are you feeling? You don't need to tell the class, but just tell yourself. You're allowed to actually understand how you're feeling. So how is everyone feeling?
Oh, you touched on something so important. They don't teach us that.
No one teaches it, but why do I just don't understand why it would take a minute.
Preach, Tom.
I know. I'm like here for this, but it's so true. We're never taught in school how to, you know, we do our math and our reading, but we're never taught that like we are humans with energy and feelings, and that mental health exists. Exactly. And I think
when you said, you know, we've all got mental health, I was like, yeah, that's absolutely.
Well, can we do it? Can we do it right now?
I would love
Kelsey, how are you feeling?
I am actually feeling really excited. I was really tired because it is like 5:30 out here. So I know it's late for us, but I'm actually really excited because you guys are cool.
Thank you. I thought she was going to say because we were good looking, but hey, cool. I'll take cool.
Good looking. You didn't let me finish.
Sorry.
I just took a pause for dramatic effect.
And that's it. That's so you're just feeling excited. That's all we're getting from you.
Yeah,
right now.
And I'm feeling really in my body. I can like what you're talking about, Tom, too, is like a form of mindfulness, right? It's just being in the present moment. And so I'm feeling really in my body. I'm feeling a little sweaty. I'm feeling a little I'm feeling sweaty and excited. Like having sex.
Whoa. Hello.
Hey.
Sorry, did I just talk over that? What did you say again?
No, it's emotional sex, right? We're all having emotional sex right now.
I'm going to bring up that bunny again. Jesus Christ.
What about you guys? How are you guys feeling?
You know what? I'm feeling quite pleased that I've learned something new about the fact that I think that concept that we all have mental health. I think that's brilliant. I think that's absolutely genius. And I'm quite pleased that I've heard that. And then triggered my thing of, when it's like, you know, that awful question you get about the feelings thing. It's like, why aren't we all advocating that? So
that's so honest. Thank you for sharing that. That's brilliant.
Amazing. I'm stunned.
Nigel.
I'm stunned. Yeah, so I was going to think, so why did you write your book?
Wait, excuse me.
Come on. How's Nigel feeling? Or what's Nigel feeling?
I'm not feeling anybody actually right now. I'm just trying to keep my hands above the table actually. Actually, too much. I know. Sorry, everybody.
Don't apologize.
My kids
this
are probably going to listen.
Comedy podcast.
God damn it!
It was a joke.
It was just a joke. It's just, my hands are here. Did you see him? You can watch us on YouTube.
I got visuals. Yeah, just promote that YouTube channel. Very good.
Oh, here you go. You can see it's all two people. My hands are above.
But where are your feet?
But my feet and your feet were in the camera a moment ago. So I'm just saying,
I just gave free foot content. Okay, Nigel, you're skirting around the subject.
Yeah. And actually, well, the thing is if anyone knows me, and Tom does, he knows that I have a foot fetish.
I do.
So you putting your foot up like that was really sent me for a whole this whole podcast went down freaking rabbit hole, literally. Bunnies, rabbits, and feet. And this is what the title of this podcast will be: Bunnies, Rabbit, and Feet with Kelsey.
A rabbit's foot.
So how are you feeling? So what are you trying to say? That you're aroused or what? I mean, you still haven't answered the question.
We're not getting to the bottom of it.
I'm always about 50% aroused at all times, Tom.
What a way to live.
And so as a result, I have this sort of burning acid reflux type of thing right here. And it's sort of like, no.
Is it good or bad acid reflux? That sounds kind of like sexy acid reflux.
It's kind of good. It's sexy acid reflux.
Yeah.
Sure.
Keeps you on your toes.
It's not one that you want to get rid of. This is one you're sort of, you kind of live with, and it just puts you on the edge. It just makes you a little like, So
Keeps you alive.
This is me. I'm always have a lot of nervous energy. So I wake up super early and I don't sleep well, never have. And I'm always on edge. And I kind of like, I just discovered PG Tips decaffeinated. So I'm going to like decaffeinate my entire life because I don't think I can have any kind of caffeine whatsoever. Otherwise it bounces off the walls. And I don't drink coffee. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So like literally right now, as usual, I'm quite excited. When I'm on my podcast, I'm always fun to meet someone new.
Yeah.
To chat with someone kind of blind. It's like blind dating in a way. Like meet someone and you're like, and I feel like we're hitting it off.
Right? It's a ball.
God damn it. I'm like, geez,
It's excitement.
This thing, put them onto the table. God, now listen to him.
Look at us. We're all excited. All of us have said we're excited.
Right?
Which way is Nigel excited? We don't have to ask. We just go along with it.
Hands above the table.
10 fingers. I see him.
I'm going to get my feet up here soon before you know it too.
Now, are you attracted to your own feet?
Not really.
Okay. Just had to ask that. Carry on.
Yeah, no. So, and not all feet. It's not. I don't like feet. Most people have bad feet, in my opinion.
I have bad feet.
No, you actually don't have bad feet, but you have a nice ankle.
Thank you.
And that tattoo was nice on the corner. And I didn't see the whole thing, but I have in general. It's like a foot thing, So I'm
this
like,
is good to know.
Yeah. Hey,
I've actually tried. I haven't tried. I've sold a couple feet pictures just from DMs on Instagram. Someone will just say like, "Hey, how much for a foot pic?" And I'll be like, "I don't know, $50," and they actually do it. But then I didn't realize that there are such thing as ugly feet, because they'll write back and be like, "No, I didn't want it that way. I need you to do it this way. And can you put white toe polish on?" And there's like instructions to it. And I'm like, okay, you're asking too much now. I'm busy. Bye.
So weird. It's so weird. My girlfriend was talking about this the weekend. She went, "Oh my God." She said, "I'm just talking to a friend. And there's this thing in England. I don't know if it's the same in America. There's this thing called OnlyFans."
Oh, yeah.
Does that exist in America? And she was going, "There's this thing called OnlyFans." Literally put pictures of your feet on the internet. People will pay to see them. And I went, seriously, if you can actually make some money putting pictures of your feet on it, do it. Feed
100%.
First of all, forget about the feet. Let's just for a moment, just take a moment on Tom asking, does OnlyFans exist in America?
I'm glad you said it.
First of all, it's a fucking website, dude. It exists all over the world, right? So it's not like the internet only exists in the UK. Tom didn't believe the internet would actually take off originally. He thought it was going to be one of those failing.
You didn't put your money in this.
We should have put money on that. That's for sure. Yes, mate. We've all heard of OnlyFans and a few other ones as well, by the way. But I would love to. I think you could make a fortune, Tom. I mean, look at you. Your 24 fans that you've never posted a picture. Just imagine if you put a picture of your foot up. For God's sake.
That's a niche, underrepresented area of
the ginger foot.
Yes, the ginger foot. And also, I just want to point out that this is the only podcast where you can go from like talking about your emotional feelings to foot photos. This is such a diverse
podcast. Ginger foot.
No, I'm struck with the ginger foot.
I'm sure we were supposed to be talking about your book.
Yeah, and your feet. I mean, like this is very on brand for me. This isn't weird at all. Trust me.
This is all good therapy, people. You know what? Laughter is the best medicine, as they say.
Amen.
And if we can't make you laugh on the Shaken and Stirred show, we can't do much more. Oh my God! So look, let's get back to depression.
Love that for us.
I think, as I laugh, I'd love to hear about panic attacks, anxiety disorders, and depression.
The times you want to die because your feet aren't cute enough. No one wants to pay you for your foot photos. It's like, why? What's my purpose? Why am I here? No, it's all intertwined. Like, holy shit. Like, we experience it in so many different ways, right? Like, I'm kidding, obviously, here, but also kind of not. It's a feeling everyone experiences. It just, like Tom said, it depends on the degree, and most importantly, the interference of your ability to live daily life. And so for me, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder when I was like a teenager, and I was like, oh, fuck off. I'm just a moody teenager with like hormones, right? Like, stop trying to put pills down my throat. And then as I got older and I was drinking and lost in the world and, not really, I thought something was wrong with me, and I wasn't willing to accept that maybe it was my genetic DNA makeup that was a little wonky.
But isn't that me? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's your genetic makeup, right? I mean, I'm not trying to say, I suffer from, like I said, panic attacks myself. And it started later in life more than anything. I guess we often, I've talked about this before. It's not news to the listeners of Shaken and Stirred show, but my sister took her own life, right? So she was bipolar and manic depressive, right? And my other sister has also suffered from mental health issues, and a lot of, like you do, we all have mental health issues to some level. It's like 50 Shades of Grey, right? Without the sex,
depending.
Fetish. But I feel that so there's this layered aspect of obviously everyone somewhere on that spectrum of mental health to some level. But I don't know. I mean, I feel that. Talking about what where you're coming from, specifically your life, were there times where it felt so dark that you just didn't think you could go on? Was it that heavy for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing about your sister. I didn't know that, and that must inform so much too about like how you feel about mental health and your own experience. I do write about in the book, trigger warning for anyone that needs it, about like the times when I tried to take my own life. There was one time in particular where I didn't want to necessarily end my life. I just wanted to stop the suffering. And you could look at me and be like, you're living in Hollywood. You're a decently looking girl. You get laid. Like, what do you have to be depressed about? And that was kind of part of the problem. Was I kept thinking like, I have nothing to be so sad about. Why am I so sad? And it was just a endless cycle of shame and guilt that was just kept perpetuating that feeling of like, I think it would just be better for everybody if I just stopped. And I don't know what that meant, but I got to that place where I just didn't feel like I was adding to anybody's life. I felt like I was taking away. And, that experience is so isolating, and it's very selfish, and you don't mean it to be. And I don't mean that to come off as a harsh criticism of people that suffer from depression, but you're not thinking of other people in that moment. You really are just thinking like, I just want this suffering to end. And so if you can find a way to interrupt that cycle of thinking, whether it be, you are sober or you have a friend or whatever, and if it's a little more nuanced where someone's like in a psychosis or, off their medications or something like that, it's really important to bring in that support system and try and bring yourself back, because and I write a whole chapter about this in the book of it's just called Just Stay, where it's like, if all you can do today is just stay, then that's enough. And I'm proud of you. And that if I hadn't have just stayed that one time, I wouldn't have gotten to experience life as full and big and fucking awesome as I've gotten to experience. Don't get me wrong. I still have depression, but boy, oh boy, is it so much more beautiful to have depression and be alive and figure it out and fight through it and find a support system and find your toolkit. And so that's kind of the experience I can share.
What leads for you? I mean, again, you don't have to answer, obviously, but just as
I'm an open book.
The whole, depression itself. You say you're still depressed. Is it a constant state of depression for you? Is it a undulating state of depression? Is it something that just peaks and then falls, or is it something that just it comes out of nowhere, or is it triggered? I mean, just
Yeah, sure. It changes. It's fluctuated. So when I was younger, it felt like it was fucking constant, and it was like a gnat that I couldn't swat away. It just felt like a part of me. And like to answer your earlier question, when you said, well, isn't that kind of you? And it's like, yeah, but what do I have control over? Like, what am I just born with versus what do I actually have control over? And as I've gotten older and I found management and different tools to make it not as bad, it's become so less of a thing. It's kind of like now when I feel it coming, and it definitely comes in wave, I deal with seasonal depression. So when the light changes and it starts to get darker earlier, I thought that was all bullshit. I've got tools now to kind of look at it as like this guy sitting next to me on the bus rather than the thing that is suffocating me and preventing me from moving and transporting at all. It just is kind of like this thing that I'm like, oh, okay, you're going to take a ride with me for, maybe a day, a week, a couple weeks, and then you're going to get off at your stop. And like, maybe I'll see you next time. Maybe I won't, but I'm not going to live in fear of it. And I'm not going to not live because of it.
I've never heard of seasonal depression.
SAD? It's literally called SAD. Seasonal affective disorder. Wow. How funny is that? It's called SAD. Like, what fucking guy was so fucking
lack of sunlight?
Yeah.
Can I ask something? I have a friend who recently, actually, they still haven't. They suspect that they suffer from bipolar, and I was talking to them the other day, and it was like I know, and they're really great friends. So I can see the mood change.
Right.
And I was talking to them, and I know well enough to be able to have the dialogue and talk to them about it. So we're talking about it, how you feel, and actually what happens. And to me, as a sort of armchair psychiatrist or whatever, I can, you're ticking all the boxes. You're definitely ticking. So what we agreed to do, and it's something that I think I'm going to remind them to do, because they probably won't at first, was that if they could, I said, can you feel it, as you just said, can you feel it when it's coming on, right? And they thought about it, and they're like, yeah, actually, yeah. Okay. I said, can you recognize it when it starts? And they said, yeah. I said, great. Okay, so when you feel it coming on next, right? The thing is, if we're going to talk to you, so give me a call, talk to me, and let's just recognize it, right? Because
yes.
Just recognize it. And then if I then call you and I'm talking and interacting with you, I will then know in my mind that you're in a place where you might not want to be in that place, but you're not feeling as great and as chipper as you normally are. So instead of me sort of rattling on and expecting you to laugh at all my jokes, when you don't laugh, I'm not going to take offense, because we recognize that this thing's still. No, but I mean, joking apart, it's quite useful. It's kind of a weird thing if you can recognize it as something that, as you said, this entity that you have absolutely no control over. But the more you recognize it, the more you understand that it's there and you have no control over it, the less kind of scary it becomes. Is that what happens?
Tom, that is music to my ears, you motherfucking ally. First of all, congratulations on being an amazing friend. That is already 10,000 steps ahead of what so many people wish that they could do for people. So like,
Tom, you told me you weren't going to tell anyone that. That was going to be between just you and me.
Not nice.
As he sips his drink. Seriously though, that's amazing. Like if more people just did what you did and talked about like the recognition of it, that's like number one. Step one is to see it as that thing and kind of remove it from yourself. And then for partners or friends or whatever, it's kind of like, what else can you do? Sometimes the person doesn't know how to tell you what they need or what they need. So you offering suggestions is like, hey, motherfucking plus. But with bipolar, first of all, it's changing right now. It's becoming much more of a spectrum. We used to think of bipolar as like, they're completely helpless, running around on the streets, like shouting at something that doesn't exist, or you're just moody up and down. And now we're finding that it's so much more of a spectrum, and the way that we're treating it is so much more advanced, and often is so misdiagnosed depending on age and experience in life. We're finding so much more recognition to trauma that it kind of is like a shaken soda bottle where it releases later on in a certain age in people. So even with if there's a hint of bipolar, I think the best thing you can do is start to become aware of the habits. And again, I'm not a doctor, 3-time college dropout. Hey, yo, still making money though, still cute. To become aware of it, start writing things down, keep a journal, keep a friend journal, set some appointments for maybe seeing a therapist, psychologist / psychiatrist, like taking action that is kind of like a passive action is always like my first step to people who think that they might be going through something that requires a little bit more of a clinical approach.
Write down how you're feeling.
Yeah. Just be like, was this normal? Was this triggered? Was this abnormal? Is this kind of becoming a cycle for me? And you might start to see some patterns that can then in turn help like a psychiatrist or a therapist recognize it.
So ask yourself how you're feeling. That's the thing. So what we were saying before about how you're feeling. If every school kid was made to sit there and think about how they're feeling,
we'd be a different society.
Well, we probably would be way more advanced, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, people have. I mean, literally, I think it's an interesting thing. I mean, especially in England, and I say especially, it's probably lots of countries, but people in England don't talk about their feelings. There's just not it's almost considered to be almost sort of rude, almost to talk about your feelings. It's sort of
cultural.
Why would you talk about your feelings? It's like completely personal, private thing that you wouldn't bring up at the table. It's not something to discuss, and I remember first coming to the United States and people would talk about their feelings like quite a lot, actually, to a point of like, sort of like, really? Do you really have to, do I really need to know all that? And I would be like pissed. And like, oh my God, like, here we go again. They're going to talk about themselves and how they're feeling. And, but actually it is very cathartic. It is an important thing. And it's, you look at so many societies and cultures that are repressed because they don't talk about their feelings. And we're brought up to believe it's sort of negative. Whereas if and just for argument's sake, just on a flip side, for example, this is a different kind of repression, but women's bodies, for example, if you go to the south of France, women can be topless on the beach and it's completely normal and people aren't all staring at women's boobs, right? It's just not what's happening. So, and if there is anyone staring, it's probably an American tourist or someone who's like shocked that he's on a beach with everyone running around topless.
Right.
Or the English did the same because they don't even wear two-piece. It's like a one-piece. They're all completely petrified.
Like Tom and his bikini Instagram photos to come.
Oh, my God. I'm not sure that anyone will be able to look at that radioactive picture, actually.
I'll be there.
Glowing off the page. I highly recommend the Third Love underwear.
I've got an OnlyFans right there.
It'd be perfect.
Third Love, sponsored by Third Love.
It's sponsored by, actually brought to you by. No, exactly. I don't know. When I think about my own sort of situation too, personally, and my own family, and you talked about the sort of spectrum of bipolar, and the sort of catastrophic events that can happen and can, and then you said something which I've actually not really heard before, only because I don't know why I haven't heard of it, but you said shaking it up and then it popping like a soda can later on in life. And I'm not sure what happened to my sister exactly. I know there were certain issues and certain things, and my parents getting divorced. There were lots of various little events and then stuff happening to her where she had issues as a child and she got beaten up by a boyfriend. Various different things that happened. That
there you go.
That you're like, and then later on, like something happens, and But actually, for her, it was coming off the medication. So this whole medication thing, because we take pills for stuff. And her coming off her medication completely messed her up and sent her off on a whole other into another world. And that's where it was actually when she literally came out of the craziness that the medication has set her on. And she said to my mother, this is very personal, but I don't think I've ever said this before, but anyway, I'll tell everyone, God, what have I done? Where's my life? She's like, why am I here? Why am I living here? Why do I look like this? Why am I married to this guy? How did I marry this guy? Not that she didn't like the guy. He's a lovely guy, but she didn't remember. She couldn't remember. It was as if she woke up and all of a sudden found herself 20 years ahead in time and her life was changed. And then literally my mother was going to see her. And then 2 weeks later, she'd overdosed and that was it.
Wow. That is so heavy. And thank you for making that information public, because I think so many people are going to understand that weirdly enough and maybe even relate to it, and how terrifying that must have been, not only for her, but you and your family. And the thing that's supposed to help you. The medication could be the thing that hurts you in the long run. And I apologize. I don't know when this happened, but
This happened about 6 years ago now. But it's interesting. The medication thing is something we have to be very careful of because
absolutely.
She was put on this crazy medication and it was too long, too much, and it wasn't monitored properly.
There you go.
Especially in the UK, where they just give you medication and you're not, it's NHS.
Yeah.
I think one of the large issues here was she then saw a doctor that was like, she shouldn't be on this medication, and you're probably right. And they pulled it off her, and they took it too quickly. And so she wasn't able to cope. And so when she popped out the other side, the funniest thing is that I had some of my best conversations with her that I'd had in over a decade, where she was actually clear thinking and not like a rambling mess.
Right.
Only for her to be like, I don't like the world I live in now, and I don't know who the hell I am, and I don't know what happened. It's a crazy tragedy, and it is important to talk about these things, and it's important for people to hear it and to know about it, and that's what makes us
real.
Yeah.
It's I think it's more common. I say that as if it's just like a trend or whatever, but I think it's more common than you think. And again, like you say, you're not meant to be an advocate, but like right there is something that could literally change someone's life, where if they recognize like, oh, hey, I kind of relate to what his sister was feeling, or I know someone that's relating. Again, if there is a way to build a toolkit, and it sounds like your sister was never really given a chance by the healthcare system to have that toolkit. She was let down by the people that were supposed to help her. And a fucking tragedy, truly, because that is unfortunately an example that is going to help change people's lives. Something like that happening and you sharing it is going to help someone else. And it's so unfortunate that that has to happen that way. And I think it's so fucking unfair. And I also believe that what we do with what happens to us is what makes us who we are. And we don't have control over what happened to your sister, but we do have control with how we take that information and become better and different people. And, I agree with you about the medication thing, because I know people whose lives it's completely saved, or that it's, completely ruined. But I don't think we know enough to not know completely yet. We're still very much in a time where we want that one pill cure-all. We want that one thing that everyone can take and just be okay. And it's so much more nuanced than that. And that's why I think what Tom said earlier about why don't we teach this shit in school? Could you imagine a bunch of kindergartners sitting around and learning like, hey, here's how to put your toolkit together, or your battle defenses, and know early enough so that when it inevitably hits all of us, it seems to be in our teen years and early 20s, that we're not, a cat on a string. We've got a family or a support system or whatever we've chosen to believe can be the thing that helps us out. It's community.
Bipolar, or manic depression, I suppose it used to be called, is technically untreatable with medication, right? It's a
management.
Yep. So what you're saying, having a toolkit and managing it, recognizing it, and then when you recognize it, you can manage it. And you can, the more you recognize it, the more familiar you become with it, instead of it being some scary thing that's going to flip you over the edge, or you can kind of live with it. It's like you learn how to live with it.
Yeah.
In England, what Nigel was saying about his sister, it is unbelievable. It is. And do you know something? If this podcast, I would like the chief, I don't know, maybe it's the GlaxoSmithKline, I don't know, the drug companies, whatever. It is phenomenal. It is absolutely fucking repulsive to see the number of people, right? The number of kids that are put on these Smarties. They're literally fed fucking Smarties, because it's literally like a Smartie. You're feeling a bit depressed. Oh, we'll get you on the Prozac. We'll get you on that. The amount of people I know who lived on their day-to-day lives on these things, from 20-year-olds through to 40-year-olds, who have been on them for so long that they're so damn terrified of coming off them. I once asked a psychiatrist, when would it ever be okay for you to actually to say it's okay to prescribe a certain drug? And she said, when there is a chemical imbalance in the brain that cannot be balanced out through therapy and talking and and analysis and whatever, then in that case, drugs are probably necessary, right? But with bipolar, for instance, there is no pill. There is no cure for bipolar, apart from The most sensible thing I'm hearing right now, that I've heard for a long time, is what you're saying, the management thing, which fits in again what my friends get. You know.
And the bipolar brain actually gets used to medications. So bipolar brain will have to be switching medications for the rest of their lives. I have people very close to me in my life who deal with psychotic breaks and mania. And I was like, oh, holy shit, I thought I was fucked up. But you ever seen Psychosis? That shit is fucking crazy, bitch. That shit is crazy. And like, I can say that because I know what it is. And it's one of those things where it's like, you get bad news and then it's like, oh, and there's no cure. And we can only, prescribe you medication. And we as a society, and it sounds like in the UK too, never look at any other modalities like Eastern, Ayurvedic, any type of neuro-linguistic feedback, any neurofeedback therapy. We're totally ignoring, because it's a big business, what other possibilities there are to be getting better to treat that kind of disorder or illness, of whatever you want to identify it with as. So as someone who is a constant love-hate relationship with medication, I confidently say that even today I take medication and it's been a lifesaver. It's also been a thing that makes everything worse for me. So I tend to not name things specifically, like brand names, especially like in the public. But what I will shout from the rooftops is things like, and it's going to be so annoying because I'm a white bitch from Los Angeles, but yoga and fucking mindfulness and breath work and talk therapy and all that shit that other people kind of scoff at really truly has been the thing that changed my life and worked for me the best. So that's what I will always shout from the rooftops.
Breath work is definitely the one thing that personally I found for me with anxiety. That's really my only solution. I mean, and fun enough, you mentioned recognizing it, Tom, when it sets in. I can feel it. It's coming, and you're like, and I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, I'm gonna pull you. I'm like, I know I know you're there, and I'm like, there's no reason for you to be here. I've done this 100 times before. In fact, I've been on stages and presented in front of 10,000 people, in an auditorium, and I've owned the stage. And I'm like, how could you pull me down at this moment for nothing, right? And sometimes I'm not doing anything, and I'll go and I'll go for a walk. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to, and I'm telling myself, building myself up, like, you can do this. You've done better. You've done even bigger things. There's no reason. Everything about this subject matter. There's nothing at all to say you can't do this. But somehow, somewhere in there is a panic button that has been pressed by accident, maybe. I don't know what happened. And I can't breathe. I can't feel. My throat is feeling like it's swelling up. I'm going blank. I can't even remember what my last thought was. And I'm like, where the shit did that come from? Like, what the heck is happening right now? And you want to slap yourself. I've done that before. I've slapped myself. I've pinched my cheeks. I have put my head in a bucket of cold water before a meeting. I've literally also had times when I'm going like, where am I? Like, all of a sudden I'm like, shit, like, I'm completely lost where I am and who I am and what's going on. And then I'm like, and then it comes pouring back, and your head exploding and your chest exploding. And guys, I'm like, this shit is real. It's not like, it's hard for people to imagine. People don't see it. Like you said, they're like, you're successful. You've got fine. You've been on television. You work on television. I'm like, guys, there are a lot of people out there who work in a lot of different industries, a lot of different things, who suffer from this. And it doesn't have to do with the fact that it doesn't mean I'm not confident. Trust me, anyone who knows me knows that I think my shit don't stink. So it's like the confidence level is there, but this is on top of that. This is somehow separate.
Exactly. And I can't wait to send you my book, because you almost like word for word said the exact same things that I've said about this, where it's just like, it exists, you've gone through it every single time, but it's never less scary than the very first time it happens to you. And it's you're never more prepared, if that like makes sense, because mine come out of nowhere too. It feels like it's more just once the recognition starts to happen, then what? It's the if then what am I going to do? And setting up like a exercise that I do is called the if thens then what. And I actually go through, what if this thing happens, then what will I do? And like making a panic attack prep list almost, if you will, for the situations that I'm in, I found to be really super helpful.
Amazing. The shit they don't tell you. This book, where can we get this book? Don't fucking panic.
It's all over the internet, Amazon.
Everywhere. So everywhere books are sold.
Just get it. Just go online and Google it and you'll find it.
Don't fucking panic, people. Buy this book is what we're going to say here. Look, you've been such a pleasure, Kelsey. Before we let you go, and I know we've already kind of kept you longer than we probably promised. We could talk to you all day, I think, on this show right now. We have something called Last Orders. It's a little kind of, rapid fire moment. It's pretty easy, pretty simple stuff, but try to keep it light at the end, wrap it up on a light moment.
Yeah, a little depression, a little suicide. Let's wrap it up with a little top.
God almighty, right? Okay, people, Last Orders with Kelsey coming up for you right now. And thanks for hanging out with us on this rambling Shaken and Stirred show. Fun. It's been a lot of fun. Kelsey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If animals could talk, which would be the rudest?
Oh, God, so who do you call that?
It's got to be cats, right?
Does it?
Cats are assholes. I have two. I love them, but they're fucking assholes.
Apparently, there's just been a study on them. They are totally disloyal.
Yeah,
100%.
My cat would rub up against the leg of like a rapist murderer entering my house, for sure.
Okay, next question. Dawn or dusk?
Dawn, now that I'm sober.
Really?
There's so much time in the morning.
Do you get up early? Early bed?
You have, when you're sober, your body's just like 6:30, you're up. Welcome to the world. Go do shit. When I was drinking, I could just sleep in and self-loathe and roll around the sheets. Now I love the mornings. It's so peaceful. No one's up, so no one bothers you.
I hate to burst your bubble, but I drink like a fucking fish, and I'm a dawn person as well. So just so you know, or for all of you guys like me out there, don't be afraid of the.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Well, not really, because earlier in the show you said he suffered from terrible insomnia and never got a good night's sleep. So can I even it out? I occasionally have a drink. Occasionally I like to get up early and
occasionally have a drink.
And I occasionally like seeing the dawn before I've gone to bed. Especially in the summer in England.
Oh my God. We've all had those nights.
He doesn't have those nights like a past tense thing. You have to understand somebody who's been serially doing this his entire life. No one does it better than him.
Tom, I'm calling you when I come to England. I'll be there this summer.
You must.
Absolutely.
Well,
okay, here we go. Another one. What is the worst song ever?
Anything. Oh God, I might get dragged for this, but anything by that one chick that's like, and there you go.
No way. Stevie Nicks.
I can't stand. It's something about the tone.
Fleetwood Mac.
Thank you. Fleetwood Mac. If I never hear it again, it'll be too soon. I think it's just
Fleetwood Smack. That's what we're saying here, people. Fleetwood Smack.
People get so mad at me, but the tone, the note in which she sings, like feels like glass on my fucking brain. I can't stand it. I'm sorry. Toss it out. Throw it away. Sorry, Stevie Nicks. You're a fashion icon, but I can't.
I think she's hot. Anyway. In the movie of your life, Kelsey, who would you have play you?
One of you, because I feel like now we've had like a very intimate conversation and you guys understand who I am and like the real character of me. So one of you.
Definitely Tom.
We have the same hair color, so yeah, probably Tom.
I'm actually ginger. I just shave it off and dye it black because I don't want to make him feel vulnerable.
Understandable.
What floats your boat and what gets your goat?
What does get your goat mean? Is that an English thing?
It means what upsets you, love.
Oh.
What floats your boat is what you love, and what gets your goat is what upsets you.
Okay, what do I love? What a broad ass question. Right now, I'm really loving popsicles. I've eaten like 4 popsicles today. That's been floating my fucking boat. And I like the idea of what gets my goat. Sweaty undercarriage, because that's also happening right now.
What personal sweaty undercarriage and Stevie Nicks?
It's hot in the Catskills. You know it, Nigel. It's hot.
Don't put your feet up again.
Why?
Not now after you've talked about sweaty undercarriages. God, daring it out, people.
I can't. It's so fucking hot here. Tom, you got to get your cozy ass over here because this is sweaty.
Yeah,
we have one final question.
Well, it looks like a sauna you're in anyway. So it's same coloring.
Feel like it.
Meanwhile, I don't know why she's in some sort of weird room with the one light above her. It's like she's been sort of
It's
hostage.
a cabin.
No, she's been kidnapped, people. She's in a cabin in the Catskills being kidnapped under one light.
Ever want to kidnap me, I wouldn't shut the fuck up. They'd be like, go back to your fucking family. Get out of here, kid.
Final question. Shaken or stirred?
Ooh. I'm going to go with shaken because I am such a hoe for like a fruity mixture, a little like juicy, fruity situation. So I'm going shaken.
Shaken it is, people. Kelsey Darragh, check out her book. Don't fucking panic. You can get it anywhere you like. She's got podcasts.
I know.
What they're called, Confidently Insecure, Guilty Pleasures.
Yep.
Check her out and follow her on Clubhouse. Follow her on Instagram. Follow her everywhere. Just fucking follow her. But don't freak her out and don't be weird.
OnlyFans. Are you on that?
You know what, Tom? I started one. I haven't posted anything, but I already have 40 followers. So I guess I do have one.
I pay for the feet pics.
But just DM me. If you want a personal foot picture, just DM me. I'll do it. I don't fucking care. Who cares, right?
There you have it.
I don't know what DM means, but yeah, that sounds exciting. I actually don't know what DM.
What is Nigel? Direct message, Tom. Gosh.
It stands for Dear Moron. Perfect for you. Expect a lot of them soon. Everybody, this was the Shaken and Stirred Show. Check us out wherever good podcasts can be found. And now we're on YouTube. So there you go. Tom, you better dress next time. Thank you so much, Kelsey. We love you. Good luck with everything. And hope to have a real drink with you soon one day where we can be in person.
Call me down to England for sure.
I already got you my phone.
Excellent.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for listening. That is Shaken and Stirred. We will be back next week with another podcast and another fantastic guest. And stay safe.
See ya.